Sometimes I just look at myself and be like, I could get away with so many things because I'm so beautiful. Anyways, I'm not really going to get into a whole bunch of Neville Goddard's background because I didn't find it to be incredibly necessary as it pertained to the topic today. So the topic is the law of assumption, not who he is or what to do or what it was. But he has a lot of audiobooks on Spotify. If y'all are interested, I would totally go check those out. But this has been the hardest episode to get done. Like, the research was difficult because the law of assumption, everyone just kind of interprets it to whichever way suits them best. So it was really hard to get to like the factual information of what Goddard actually believed. It was difficult because I was tired and I didn't feel like doing it. It was difficult because it was difficult. It was also very meticulous to have to look through like the people's personal beliefs and the factual information, even though I'm going to tell you my personal beliefs in this episode, but I'm not them girls. Anywho, despite all of this being so difficult for me, I still managed to do it because that's what I would be doing if I was using YouTube as a source of income, which I will be one day, which is the perfect segue into what I was what this episode is going to be about. So I'm certain that all of y'all are familiar with the law of assumption as it's been circulating around like spiritual circles. The manifestation girlies are all talking about the law of assumption. It's been circulating on TikTok if you're on that side of TikTok. But what does it really mean? My interpretation of Neville Goddard's law of assumption is thus. Goddard advises us to live in the mental state of having already obtained our desires, and that whatever you assume mentally will manifest as your eventual reality. So like I was saying, one day I'm going to be making money doing my little podcast. That's why I'm doing the podcast. I'm living in the mental state of someone who has a successful podcast because I know the future version of me already does. There's an example of this that I would like to give. So like, if you have a negative worldview, you are going to seek out confirmation biases for your negative worldview. Like, if you are one of those people who interprets the world as like a dark and scary evil place, and you watch the news, the media is naturally going to sensationalize the news. Like, this past week or two ago, there were protests erupting in LA, and I just saw Josh Johnson's comedy special on YouTube where he was talking about the protests in LA. Well, apparently the protests are just confined to 2 blocks of the city of Los Angeles, but through the media, it gets sensationalized to where you think, oh my gosh, the city of LA is on fire, like everything's burning, like the people are in danger. And Robert Kiyosaki talks about this in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he says in his book that the world is full of Chicken Littles who are convinced that the sky is falling. And this same sort of mentality is what led to the eventual stock market crash in 1929, where everyone was getting scared, so they all pulled their money out all at the same time. So this bubble of the stock market was inflating and inflating and inflating over time. Then everybody got scared because they all had the same mentality and they all pulled their money out, and then it completely collapsed the United States economy and led to the Great Depression. So there have been several examples of this throughout history. Like, another example of this is on social media. On my social media feed a while ago, I was watching this one random video, and this girl was talking about how she got a BBL, and she hated the BBL, like she hated her body. And then the video under it was someone else talking about their plastic surgery and how they hated their results. So it kind of started to shape my mind into, oh, plastic surgery is bad, and if you receive or undergo plastic surgery, you'll inevitably hate your results and then move the goalpost further, and then you'll be in a cycle of getting addicted to plastic surgery. And I just want a little nose job. I just want a little upturned nose, and that's it. Nobody can convince me otherwise. I don't care what the comments say. I've been wanting a nose job since I was 5 years old, and I do plan on getting one. Clock it. And a lot of people that I know in my personal life, like this goes into sort of, I'll touch on this briefly, the poverty mindset. If you live in a poverty mindset, it's so much harder for you to sort of break those cycles of poverty, because it's like, oh, well, I was born into the system. There's no way out for me. I'm just going to keep living like this. So people who have that mindset tend to not have a tendency of wanting to get out of that system and out of that cycle, because the system is against them, is what they believe. But there have been people who have escaped from cycles of poverty. There have been people who were literally born poor and became millionaires. If you look at the statistics, I believe it says that most millionaires, 74% of millionaires, are self-made. So it is possible. But, you know, you ask the question, how do I change the world? And it really all, under the law of assumption, it all starts with how you think and how you perceive the world. A lot of people struggle with how they see the world, so they don't know how to change their perception, so they don't know how to change their actions, so they don't know how to live as the version of themselves they want to be. And I think it's going to be easier for a lot of people, instead of just trying to immediately jump into law of assumption, live in the end, like live as if the plan has already been achieved. It's easier to start sort of at, I don't want to say start at a starting point, but that's the only way I can explain what I'm saying. It's easier for people to start smaller. I'll say that. And people, what they struggle with is the actual starting smaller aspects. So what I always like to do, what works for me, is expressing a bit of gratitude. If you watch any of the manifestation or the spiritual girlies, they will tell you the easiest and quickest way to heighten your vibrational frequency is through gratitude. So you can do this through gratitude affirmations, prayer, journaling, just looking in the mirror and saying, oh, I'm so grateful for today. Like, just say to the outside world, I'm so grateful. It's important to change those thoughts, because the subconscious mind can't differentiate between what you feel or don't feel consciously. And Proctor Gallagher Institute has a really good video on this subject. If I can find the video, I'll link it below. I had to brush my hair. My wig was pissing me off. Anyways, in that Proctor Gallagher video I was talking about, he does like a little diagram. Mind you, the man can't draw, so the diagram look a mess, chat. Anyway, in this diagram, he basically shows how your subconscious thoughts are fed to you from the time that you're like in utero, which obviously you don't have a brain, like you're not actually processing the thoughts, but nonetheless, you are subjected to these thoughts throughout your entire life. And then your conscious mind is the one that welcomes in the new ideas, and you consciously want to make an effort to be grateful, express gratitude, yada yada yada, whoop de whoop de whoop, but duh, if you will. Furthermore, if I might add, in addition, welcoming in new perspectives is only going to make you smarter and more intellectually and emotionally intelligent. Also, expressing gratitude consistently is only going to want to make people share more with you. If you believe in religion of any sort, it will make who or whatever you worship want to give you more. So it is very important to always express that gratitude. My personal experience with this is I have turned away from the poverty mindset. Even if I don't have money, I don't speak anything but affluence, abundance, wealth, and stability over my life. And the money has always found its way to me. Even when I start making less money, I'm like, it's okay. The money is coming. I have a side business. I have a YouTube channel that will bring me profit. I have a full-time job. The money will come to me. Every wealthy person I know, I always ask rich people, how do you make money? How do you make money? And the thing is, we have to stop being scared of rich people. They're actually really nice. You just, gotta learn how to talk to people. But whenever I interact with a wealthy person, I always ask them, how did you make the money? I don't ask them, what did you do when you were broke? I don't need to know. I've lived as a broke person, past tense. I've lived as a broke person in the past. I already know what it's like to be broke. I already know what to do if you're broke. I want to know what to do to build lasting wealth for myself, for my friends' children, because I don't want kids in the future, but for my friends' children. And they all pretty much say the same things. They all, this is so silly, and if you don't get it, you're not going to get it, but I'll do an episode about this later. They all say money isn't real. A lot of the times when they make business transactions, the liquid cash isn't necessarily there. The idea of the liquid cash being transferred is enough to motivate the business deal. They also always say you have to want it and then do it. Like, you have to want the money and then act in accordance with wanting the money, living as a person who has the money. Rich people don't spend all of their money on frivolities. I mean, if they have the money for the frivolities, which they do, because if they have the money for the frivolities, they gon' frivol. But with rich people, they don't purchase assets. They purchase, my bad, I misspoke. They don't purchase liabilities. They purchase assets. So they invest in certain things. So also another thing, you'll hear this in every wealth book, financial podcast, how to build wealth step by step. Anything that you could, if you are on your wealth building journey, they're all going to tell you the same thing, and that is pay yourself first. Rich people always pay themselves first, and that's how they stay wealthy. They think about the money, then they act in accordance with how to stay wealthy. Every wealthy person I know lives in accordance with the law of assumption, whether they know it or not. And Neville Goddard also urges us to live in accordance and move in alignment with the desires that we possess. In one of his, it was either a show or he was reading his book for like an audio book. It was on Spotify while I was listening to it. But he says the trouble with a lot of people is that we don't live in alignment. So if you're not living in alignment with your desires and you're like, why don't I have this? Why don't I have this? If you want to save $500 and you spend $249.75 in the club, you're like, oh, I can't believe I don't have any money in my savings. This is ridiculous. Well, you didn't put your money in the savings. The bar has your money. You didn't put your money in the stock market, so it never grew. You didn't put your money in assets, so you never got a return on your investment. If you're doing stuff like that, you're not living in alignment with the things that your heart and soul desires. And you never will live in alignment with it if you keep acting like how you've been acting. It looks like I'm talking to y'all, but I'm talking to me because I'm looking in the camera. I'm talking to Lauren right now. I think one of the greatest examples of the law of assumption is assumption. Assumption is, unfortunately, Kanye West. I know about the Nazi stuff. I'm not condoning it. Also, I didn't fart. That was my elbow cracking, if you heard that. Unfortunately, one of the greatest examples of Kanye, of the law of assumption, in its totality, my personal opinion, it's Kanye West. Because when he got on the stage and he said, everyone wanted to know what I would do if I didn't win, I guess we'll never know. That was a bar. I'm so sorry. He ate that up. He really did. He really ate that up. Also, I would like to add, the only reason that you want something is because there's a version of you in the future that has it. So if you want to get all quantum metaphysical and spiritual, a thought is just energy. Everything that exists within the quantum field is just energy. Everything that exists, like a pillow, for example. Actually, let me move this pillow out the camera. I don't know if that's bothering anyone. If y'all are watching this, do some chores while you're watching this. Don't just sit up here and watch my video. Be productive while you're on here. Actually, better example, the iPhone. It exists. Before the iPhone was ever a physical thing that we could hold and it was tangible in our three-dimensional reality, it was simply just an idea. An idea is just energy. Everything that exists is just energy. A solid, anything solid the atoms that are making up the solid thing, those are constantly vibrating. It's all just transfers of energy. So the thought energy transfers into becoming a physical manifestation of whatever it is. That's why you want stuff, because somewhere is a physical manifestation of the thought energy of what you want. Also, we can see the observer. I'm getting tongue-tied. Through the observer effect, we can observe that quantum particles are potentially somewhat conscious in their own way. So if a particle is conscious, your thoughts are energy. Your energy can become a physical manifestation of whatever. It's very important to make sure that your thoughts are in alignment with what you want. So if you want money, you need to be thinking like how to obtain the money. If you want love, you need to move in accordance with love. How would you want to be loved? Treat yourself that way. There is not a single fiber of my being that you can convince that Kanye didn't 1000% believe with every fiber of his being that he wasn't going to win that award. Like, he knew for a fact every single thought that was energy that he had, he assumed that the award was his. Thus, the award was his. So when it comes to the law of assumption, manifesting, and getting your desires, a lot of people don't really know how Neville Goddard advises that we use it, or how anyone advises that we use it, rather. I think that Napoleon Hill gives some pretty solid advice on how to use the law of assumption in his book I'm so tongue-tied today. Think and Grow Rich. In Think and Grow Rich, he advises readers to visualize their desires for at least 13 minutes a day. I used to do this before I would go to bed. I would close my eyes, and then I would think about everything that I wanted, and I started falling asleep. So I had to change my course of action. So how I'm doing this now is through journaling. And when you journal these things, you want to be incredibly detailed. Everyone that you look to, whether it's YouTube, whether it's books, whether it's audiobooks, podcasts, if you are trying to use the law of assumption, like Neville Goddard himself, everyone is going to tell you the exact same thing, and that's to be very specific and very clear about what you want. Any manifestation girlies, I know there's the manifestation journal that's available on TikTok Shop. I got one of those for Christmas. It is all going to tell you the same thing, and is that you need to be incredibly specific to the last detail about what you want. And when you receive it, you better not compromise on any of the details. So whenever I journal, I go page for page for page for page for page, and I'm specific to down to the letter about what I want, and I will not accept anything less. I don't care. Another way I like to do this, I like to meditate. I find guided meditation to be really helpful because I have ADHD. So if I sit down and I just put on theta waves and I try to meditate, I will start thinking about everything, nothing, everywhere, everything, all at once, all the time. I just have a lot of internal monologue. That's why I got 14 clips of me a day just talking about whatever hops into my head, because if I can't get to my journal right there, baby, I'm gonna make a little video and I might post it on my spam TikTok account. But I find guided meditation to be incredibly helpful. I think Jason Stevenson, it's really great here on YouTube. It'll kind of give you instructions for everything as it pertains to meditation. So it'll take you step 1, relax your body, and how to relax your body. You start a lot of the videos that I listen to, it's very starting from top to bottom. So close your eyes, count your breaths, whatever, what have you. I am aware that there's other ways to meditate, but guided meditation works best for me. And there's plenty of videos here on the tube that'll assist you. I'm sure they have stuff on TikTok. I'm sure there's audiobooks. I don't know nothing about that, but I do know that YouTube need to take them ads off them guided meditation videos. Because imagine you're talking about some breathe in. New Ford F-150. What? I was in the zone. Like, how dare you? Another way to visualize, change your subconscious thought patterns, yada, 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 whoop, de whoop, de whoop. Affirmations. Affirmations is probably one of those powerful ways you can change your subconscious thoughts from being negative to positive. But also, vice versa. If you tell yourself that you're a big, wide body, fat bitch every day, your brain is going to affirm to itself that you're a big, wide body, fat bitch. You have to be very mindful with the way that you talk to yourself, because your brain will unknowingly pick up on it. Because whenever I was experiencing like really bad body dysmorphia, I would just look in the mirror and be like, damn, you're a big, wide body, fat bitch. And I started to believe that I was a big, wide body, fat bitch, even though I wasn't. My waist has always and forever been on slim every single day of my life. I don't know who was a big, wide body, fat bitch, but it certainly wasn't me. You cannot entertain no negative self-talk or anything using the law. Like, you can't even say, and I know it's hard, but it gets easier over time. Like, if you catch yourself thinking anything negative as it pertains to your plans, goals, self-image, replace that thought immediately with something positive, or you can attribute that energy into a creative outlet. So if you like to make crafts, if you like to make music, but any negative energy you have, you need to transmute it into something else with a quickness. But Goddard didn't just say manifest, journal, pray. He suggests that after you have imagined in great detail, mind you, great excruciating. Sidebar: did y'all know that the word excruciating came from crucifixion? Anyways, imagine in like down to the letter of the details what you want. And then he says you need to follow the necessary, because I don't know if you heard me. Follow the necessary steps to acquire your goals. I don't know if y'all read the Bible or if y'all Christian, or if you, no matter if you is ain't, what I'm about to, the verse I'm gonna give to you is still gonna apply. In James chapter 2 verse 17, it says, I'm reading direct quote. So also, not me reading the Bible and I got my booty tooted up on YouTube for 0 subscribe. Anyways, the Bible states in James 2:17, so also faith by itself without works is dead. James is literally called God on the phone and was like, what do I need to tell the people? Tell the people, faith without works is dead. If you are simply just praying and waiting for God to do everything, it will not get done. You have to do something. And there's more to that verse. That whole like passage in the Bible, it's the contents of it are very contextually interesting, and I'll probably do an episode on that. I'm probably gonna do an episode real soon. But in summation, visualizing, manifestation, and even prayer are not enough on their own. You have to live in accordance with what you want and take necessary actionable steps to get there every single day, no matter what. And you don't even have to do everything every day. You don't. If y'all follow me on TikTok, I have a small business where I make magnets. I don't sculpt magnets every single day. I was for a week and I got burnt out. I didn't want to do it anymore. I almost didn't fill one of my orders because I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore, because I was making magnets. When I would wake up, walk my dog, go to the bathroom, sit at the table and make magnets until I got hungry. Then I would sculpt magnets. And then by that time, I would get ready for work, go work my whole shift, come home, walk my dog, use the bathroom, make magnets. See, I don't even like how that sounds, because now it just sounds like I'm living in a loop. whatever I can get done each day is what I do. I'm trying to move. If I have 30 minutes of time where I'm not sculpting magnets, I scroll on my phone and look at apartments in areas that I want to live in. You don't need to be, oh, I need to make sure I save this amount of money every day, and I need to have this mover scheduled for this day, and plan this for the actionable, reasonable steps that you can take every day without burning yourself out. Robert Greene says, plan all the way to the end. When you are following this plan, make sure you don't overwhelm yourself, but you want to plan each individual step. You don't want to just get to wherever you're going and be like, well, I'm here now. What are you going to do after that? How are you going to elevate yourself after that? You can't just get to the end and be like, yeah, well, this cool. What? How is you cool? Anyways, I guess I'm just going to wrap this episode up like it's Christmas time. Ho, ho, ho. I say all of this to say, let me give y'all the summary, the TLDR. I'm going to break it down freaking fresh. Anyways, you need to have a clear visual image of exactly what it is that you want, down to the letter. I can't emphasize that enough. You need to have an incredibly strong and unshakable belief that it is going to happen no matter what. If all of your limbs turned into crabs and your dream was to be the world's greatest weightlifter, you would have to use them pincers to lift them weights. Like, no matter what happens, you have to believe under all circumstances, by all means, no matter what, that it is going to happen for you. Because the only reason that you want it is because your thoughts are projecting to you a version of yourself in the future that already has it. The current you is waiting up to catch up to the future you. You need to have a actionable plan that you can follow realistically to get you to where you want to go. And you need to follow that course of action. And the last step, you need to reap the benefits of what you did. You did all that hard work, girl, or boy, or they, or tree, whatever pronouns you use. And reap the actual benefits of all of the work that you actually did. Because you deserve it. I love you so much. Subscribe to my channel, or don't, because I'm going to be rich anyway. No, I'm just playing. Please click the subscribe. If you like this video, send it to somebody so they can watch it. And if you hate this video, send it to somebody so they can watch it and they can text you back talking about why did you hate this video? It was so good. Okay, I'll see y'all probably. It's might gonna be a while before I get another episode out. These are hard to do, y'all. But the future me would have already done it. Subscribe.